Admiral Insurance. We're based in Cardiff, and so we went to Cardiff University and Vince taught us several years ago. Today we're going to talk to you a bit about Admiral. I'm going to tell you a bit about the company, but if you want to know any more, come and see us at Ask Down. And then I'm going to talk about some scenarios that we use analysis in Admiral. And in fact, I'm going to first to give you a brief overview of the company.
So I'm just really quickly going to run through who Admiral is, in case none of you have noticed us before, what we do, where we're based, and just a little general company overview. I have to stand here because I didn't wear appropriate clothing to attach this, but hopefully you can all see me and we're all right. Okay, so if I can work this. So who are we? So Admiral are one of the top insurers in the UK, and we're a direct insurer for car insurance mainly. We have started branching out into household insurance as well. So Admiral is our main brand that you'll be aware of. But we do have some other brands out there in the market as well that are just a little bit more niche, a little bit smaller, and take a little bit more work to get out there and get noticed. So we've got Elephant, who's basically aiming at young drivers, Diamond, who are aiming at women, and Bell, who is aiming at that like black box in your car kind of approach to car insurance. Plus then we've got Confused.com, who is our price comparison website, and Gladiator, who is a van broker that I'm guessing nobody's ever heard of because it's pretty tiny. So we've also got a bunch of overseas operations, so I'm not going to go through all of them and list them, but you can see, oh, and I'm going way too fast. There you go. You can see the list below. And we're in France, Italy, Spain, and the US at the moment, with potential to look to expand across further countries. We've got a couple of price comparison sites, a couple of insurers. The business is a lot smaller over there just because we're growing and we're trying to sort of test the waters in the market, if you like. In the UK, we insure 3 million cars, so that's about 1 in every 10 cars that are insured on the road, and about 300,000 across our then international business. So as I said, UK, much, much bigger. That's where the whole business is sort of fundamental, and then we're sort of just testing the waters in the other. So in the whole of 2012, we gave about 450 million quotes to customers in the UK alone. So when you imagine people are going on price comparison websites, they're doing a lot of quotes, and they're doing sort of changing details, trying stuff out. So huge scope of data to play with 450 million quotes in a year. And then, of course, on top of the main product, we do offer the sort of standard add-ons to the insurance package, if you like. So things like breakdown and car hire that you're probably all used to being upsold whenever you call an insurance company. And I think the bit at the bottom is just repeating that we've got 5 price comparison site businesses. Okay, so this slide is just sort of giving you a map to show where we do it. So our main business is in South Wales, so we're the only FTSE 100 company that is based in Wales. And our head office is in Cardiff, and then we've got other offices in Newport and Swansea. And then, of course, we've got, for our international operations, businesses dotted around, and we've got some call centres in Canada and New Delhi as well. So it always sort of surprises people when you introduce the idea of analytical roles to people in Admiral, because I think they see Admiral as being a place where you can go and do a part-time job in a call centre or something like that. But actually, we have like a huge breadth of data that comes in to our offices every day, and a lot of stuff that we need to manage and analyse and look at. So there's actually a huge amount of departments that have vacancies for analysts, and we're constantly trying to recruit more, because you can't get enough. I mean, you can't get enough people who know what to do with numbers and data. So just a quick list of some of the departments that we've got. And Joe and myself are here from pricing, which I think you're going to explain a little bit later. But I mean, there's management information department, there's pricing, there's telematics, which, as I said, is that black box that goes in your car. And it basically submits so much data about your driving. So you've just got millions and millions and millions of records just about, actually what seems to be very limited activity about a person, about their behaviour in the car. Then you've got the underwriting departments that are sort of trying to identify and look at fraud. You've got data analytics, who basically just get to play and look at whatever analysis they want to throughout the company. The marketing departments, who are trying to target the right people, trying to get the message across in the right way. Ancillary department, so that's those additional products, trying to work out a little bit similar to marketing, I guess, but how to price them, who to target them at, who's buying, what do they look like, what's their profile. And then all of the departments that you sort of associate with an internet and a call-based company, so your phone centre departments who are doing new business renewals, customer services, etc. They all need people to look at things such as like who's answering the phone, when are they answering, when do I need staff, how busy is it, what time of the year should I have an intake, when do they need to be trained by. All the stats to keep just the day-to-day business up and running, basically. So lots and lots of options and lots of choice. Okay, so the pricing team then. So as I said, Joe and I are both from pricing. Pricing is made up of about 30 people at the moment. Most of them are maths graduates, but we do have a couple of other disciplines in there as well. So it's worth applying if you've got like a strong maths background, even if it's not technically a maths degree that you're doing. Our team is really, really young. We keep... It is. Well, how do you see?
We're actually quite old compared to the rest of the team.
It's true. So our team, the average age of our team ends up being in the mid-20s. I mean, obviously there's a couple of managers who are sort of into their 30s and 40s, but generally we take on a big influx of graduates. They do a great job in pricing of sort of training them and promoting them, and then we tend to lose them to other parts of the business where they go on and get promoted further. So it's a great stepping stone to learn about the business and to learn all about how Admiral works and where you can go and where you can take your career, essentially. So the advantages then of working in Admiral don't look very long, but it is actually an amazing company to work for.
Two of many.
two of many. So I'm not sure why we chose casual clothes as an option on here, but casual clothes is apparently one of the main selling points. Does it? I'm not sure. So you can wear whatever it is that you're wearing now in the office. There's not really a formal stuffy feeling in Admiral. It's very chilled out. I mean, we sit in an open plan office and the COO sits just along from Joe and I, and everybody's kind of like mucking in, and it's just a general kind of friendly, hands-on feeling about the whole place, hence the casual clothes, the policy. Because we're in the centre of Cardiff, we do loads and loads of social events, so it's a really nice place. There's loads of stuff that you can get out and do, and as we're a young department, we take full advantage of all of that. But yeah, I mean, there's loads of other benefits for working for Admiral that aren't listed on the presentation. So come and talk to us at the stand. There's a couple of our graduates manning the stand at the moment, so they'd be able to tell you what you can expect and what the company's like and all of that kind of thing. I'm sure they'll happily talk you through it if you're interested in interview.
Okay, so how do we do it? I'm going to talk a bit about pricing, and I'm going to talk about other analysis in the company as well, just to give you an idea of the kind of stuff that can be done. In pricing, we analyse similar customers to see how they perform in the past. So we have an extensive sort of claims data database because we've been operating for 20 years now. So we've got a lot of data to work from. We also analyse how the competition would change. So we do a lot of studying of price comparison type, how often we're top of the panel, what kind of customers we're top for, where are we missing out, that kind of thing. And then identifying the types of customers we haven't insured in the past. So we traditionally used to go for high-risk customers. So we went for young drivers and sort of greater London, that kind of thing. And these days, you've kind of become much broader. So we actually had to start becoming good at pricing for people who are much lower risk. And actually, they're quite a difficult market because you have to be really competitive for them. So I'm going to look at an example. It's a very simple example. Okay. So we've got John, we've got Mary, and we've got Alex. And I've got that they're male, female, and under-specific. Do you think it matters whether I know whether he's a male or female? Anything?
It shouldn't anymore.
It shouldn't anymore. On the 23rd of December last year, we are not allowed to price differently between male and female. So that's been a big analytical project for us because, of course, male and female was it used to make a huge difference. As probably a lot of you know, if you've got car insurance, males used to get priced much higher. And that's because they have more accidents. But we're irrelevant. We're not allowed to operate on it anymore. So anyway, so what I've got is I've got a claim cost £5,000 and below the probabilities of making an insurance claim. So last year we made a 10% profit on each policy after paying claims, and management want to ensure that at least that's maintained next year. How much should we charge each customer? Any guesses? I don't know. Just rough ballpark figure how much do you think we should charge each customer?
No?
But, so I'm not allowed to differ between the two, so actually, ideally, I'd like to have sort of like the claim frequency across both male and female. But on a ballpark figure, for these young drivers at 19 years old, I'd probably go with £1,500. If you work it out roughly, you can take sort of like 100 policies, work out how many of those were the claims, multiply that by £5,000 and sort of do it. That's a simple version of what we do. We do this across many things. We do this across hundreds and hundreds of occupations, and we look at like the different claim frequencies and all that kind of stuff to see what happens. Now, so say I've said 1,500. Say I was to say that I know that in the next year, all repairs and all cars are going to drop in price by 50%. What do you think would happen to the price? Does anybody think the price of my insurance would drop by 50%? No?
No.
No? Why wouldn't it drop by 50%?
Because people are still going to have accidents.
They are still going to have accidents. They're still going to have accidents, and but okay, so the cost of my labour, so the cost of my parts, the cost of my car is going to go down by 50%. But that's not the only cost in the claim. You've got to consider bodily injury costs. Now, bodily injury costs are an insurer's nightmare because they cost so much money. Essentially, you have to pay out for somebody's living expenses for the rest of their life. So if you have somebody who's it is very sad, we do that. But in business, yeah, no, great example. Well, you have to take it to the side and consider the money. But essentially, you can pay out millions and millions of pounds for one claim, and that's one customer, and they probably paid £500 for their insurance. And so I'm not covering a lot of that claim. So you've got to consider bodily injury. And what we're doing is we're trying to avoid those customers, and we're trying to take on customers that aren't going to have these big claims, and we're going to be able to sort of essentially cover their claims costs. Okay, so that's what we do in pricing. So yeah, that's fine. So that's what we do in pricing. Moving on, we talked about the call centre departments and looking at analytics in the call centre departments. So what I'm talking about here is in Outbound. Now, Outbound is where we call customers, okay? So we call customers that have done a quote on a price comparison site, have done a quote on our direct site, have rung us up and done a quote online, but they haven't actually taken anything out. Or actually they have a policy. So we have different streams, yeah. So we either ring somebody to try and sell them a policy, or we ring our active customers to try and sell them an ancillary. So we want to sell people breakdown or stuff like that. So what kind of things do you consider when calling these customers? Because we don't just want to call everybody, that would be a waste of time. So what we're considering is like, was the quote the top of the panel on the price comparison site? Because if it was the top price, then they're more likely to buy. Are they already an active customer? Because if they've already bought a policy, we don't want to ring them about a different quote. Have they had any quotes on multiple comparison sites? We don't want to be ringing them twice. Can you imagine if you've just spoken to somebody and then they ring up again? It gets annoying when insurance companies ring you again and again and again to talk to you about these things. Who is more likely to buy? So we look at certain details, and we look at essentially we use statistical models to predict which types of customers are most likely to buy if you ring them. And so we look at our past data, and again we sort of like we use that and we input it in, and we do a bit of regression analysis to sort of put the right customers at the top of the list. Who would be interested in buying each of our ancillary products. So again, this is to do with active customers and deciding who is more likely to buy breakdown, who is more likely to want hire car. And we're just looking at people who actually buy it and deciding, what types of customers are they, what kind of groups do they fit into. And then in what order should we prioritise the calls? So you would prioritise somebody who has the cheapest price. If we were the cheapest price on the price comparison list, then you would prioritise them and you would ring them, because you know you are competitive and you have a good basis to start with. So that's how we get Outbound. We do fraud. So fraud is a real another one of our nightmares, in the sense that you can't see it. So you don't know whether you've ever completely sort of I want to say annihilated fraud. 1 minute, I'm there. I'll get there. Listen, 2 more slides.
Talk faster, you're going too slow.
Fraud networks. Okay, so essentially the purple policy is the one that I'm looking at, and then all the red ones are fraudulent policies, okay? And they're all connected by this one in the middle, which is a mobile phone number. And so what we've done is we've basically gone to our database and we've connected all these policies by different things. That one's a mobile phone number, there's an address here. And so what we're doing is we're trying to decipher whether this policy, this purple policy, is fraudulent. And this is quite a nice network in that you can see everything, it all looks lovely, but sometimes they look like this. And as you can see, there's a lot of fraud on there. And it's hard to decide whether that policy is fraudulent. You need a lot of evidence to actually accuse somebody of being fraudulent. And so it's a lot of looking at payment details across like different policies and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of analysis in it. That is my last slide. I mean, if you have any questions about the kind of work that we do, or if you're interested in it, come and talk to us. We are quite happy to chat away about it. In fact, I'm probably much better one-on-one. But if you want to apply, this is the email address. We have leaflets which have the email address on. Please come and take one from us. It's a very simple process. All you need to do is send us a CV and covering letter, old school. So, and that's it from us. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thanks, guys. Do we have a question? Anyone have a question over there? No, okay, we'll move on. But please do go and find them. Let's thank them again.